Before soap came wrapped in paper, it came out of a barrel behind the house. And before that, it was garbage. Bacon grease saved in a crock through the winter. Drippings strained from the skillet. Ashes shoveled out of the fireplace. Rainwater. That was the entire recipe. American families turned their own waste into the thing that kept them clean, in a ritual that could burn the skin off your hands. The test for whether it worked was a raw egg. So how did a skill every household in America once had simply vanish? This is American Workshop. This is the story of American soap, and why nobody makes it like this anymore. In early America, soap was not something you bought. It was something your house produced, the way it produced ashes and table scraps, because soap was made from exactly those things. Nothing about it was pretty. Every kitchen kept a grease pot, and everything went in. Rancid lard, beef tallow, the scrapings from the bottom of the pan. And every hearth produced ashes, and the ashes held something powerful. Potash. Rain filtered through them became lye, a liquid caustic enough to blind. Fat and ash. Waste and waste. Boiled together, they made the one thing that stood between a family and the dirt. And ashes were not just kitchen leftovers. They were money. When the United States passed its first patent law in 1790, the very first patent it ever issued, signed by George Washington himself, went to a man named Samuel Hopkins, and it was not for a rifle or a plow, but for an improved way of making potash. The first invention America ever protected was, at its heart, about soap. The work itself belonged to women. Soap making was a household chore, like laundry and candle dipping, and it followed the rhythm of the farm year. Butchering season filled the grease crock. Winter fires filled the ash barrel. And when the weather turned, the whole operation moved out to the yard, where a kettle of boiling fat announced itself to every neighbor downwind. It started with the leach. Families kept a barrel with holes bored in the bottom, set up on bricks and packed with hardwood ashes. You wetted the ashes down and let them soak for days. Then you poured in water, a gallon at a time, hour after hour, and what dripped out the bottom was lye. Brown, slow, and strong enough to burn bare skin on contact. We know exactly how it was done, because in 1832, a writer named Lydia Maria Child put the whole process in a book. The American Frugal Housewife became one of the best-known household manuals in the country, and her soap instructions read like a recipe and a warning at the same time. 5 or 6 bushels of ashes and 4 quarts of lime to make 1 barrel of soap. 3 pounds of grease to a pailful of lye. And then the test that separated success from a wasted winter of saving. You floated a raw egg in the lye. If the egg sank, Child wrote, the lye was too weak, and it would never make soap. If the egg was buoyed up halfway, the lye was too strong, and that was just as bad. What you wanted was the egg riding low, with a patch of shell showing about the size of a small coin. No thermometer. No gauge. A raw egg standing between a family and a year without soap. Because that was the stake. When the lye and the grease boiled and thickened, women said the soap had come. When it refused to come, there was no second batch waiting behind it. The grease had taken a winter to save. Get the lye wrong, and you washed with nothing until the hogs were killed again. Child was blunt about who should bother. In the city, she wrote, it is better to exchange ashes and grease for soap. In the country, it is good economy to make one's own. On the frontier, there was no one to trade with. So there was no choice at all. And that one sentence about the city describes a hidden economy. City families handed their waste to professionals, the soap boilers and tallow chandlers, the same men who made candles, working the same kettles of fat. It was one trade with 2 products. If you have seen our story of the American candle, you already know these men. One of them was a young English immigrant named William Colgate. He learned the business as an apprentice soap boiler in New York, worked his way up through the biggest tallow firm in the city, and in 1806, at 23, opened his own shop on Dutch Street. The city directory listed him as a tallow chandler. His name is probably in your bathroom right now. So the craft ran on 2 tracks. Women made soap in the yard and got a clean household for their trouble. Men made it in shops and got their names in the city directory. Only one of those tracks led to a fortune. And in the 1830s, on the Ohio River, that fortune was piling up in the strangest form imaginable. A mountain of pig fat. Cincinnati slaughtered hogs the way other cities milled flour. From the 1820s to the 1860s, it was the premier pork-packing city in America, and the country called it Porkopolis. By 1840, 48 packing houses employed 1,200 men. By 1860, the city was killing as many as 450,000 hogs a year. Every one of them left behind lard and tallow, far more than anyone could eat or burn. In the 1850s, 1/5 of the lard oil in the United States came out of Cincinnati. Into that surplus stepped 2 immigrants. William Procter, a candle maker from England. James Gamble, a soap maker from Ireland. They had married sisters, Olivia and Elizabeth Norris, and in 1837 their father-in-law talked his 2 sons-in-law into merging their fat-based trades into one firm, Procter & Gamble. Then the Civil War handed them the future. Union Army contracts for soap and candles put their crates into camps across the country. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers spent the war washing with factory soap. When they went home, they knew the name. But the killing blow was not a machine. It was marketing. In 1879, the company launched a white bar named Ivory, after a line from the Psalms. In 1882, it spent $11,000, an enormous advertising budget for the time, to put Ivory in a national weekly paper. The slogan promised a purity no yard kettle could certify. 99 and 44/100% pure. Within a generation, the barrel behind the house was gone, and the egg test stopped being passed from mother to daughter. Even the brand's most famous story turned out to be manufactured. For a century, the company said Ivory floated because a workman once forgot to shut off the mixing machine. In 2004, the company's own archivist found a notebook from 1863, written by the founder's son, James Gamble. "I made floating soap today," he wrote. "I think we'll make all of our stock that way." The most celebrated accident in American soap was designed 16 years before the bar went on sale. Today, the old way survives as a demonstration. At Colonial Williamsburg and Old Sturbridge Village, costumed interpreters still drip lye through ash barrels for visitors who have never smelled a grease kettle. And thousands of small makers have revived the craft's gentler cousin, cold process soap, the same method Child described when she wrote that the sun could do the work of the fire. The trade also left its fingerprints on the language. In 1933, Procter & Gamble put a radio drama on the air to sell laundry soap, and soap companies sponsored so many of these serials that the whole genre took the sponsor's name. Every soap opera ever filmed traces back to a kettle of fat in Cincinnati. And the chemistry has never changed. Every bar in your shower is still the same 2-ingredient reaction: fat and an alkali. The reaction a woman in 1830 was running over an open fire in her yard. The next time you wash your hands, look at the lather for a second. She made exactly that, out of ashes and scraps she refused to throw away, and she bet a year of clean on a floating egg.